Welcome back to the deep dive. You bring us the sources, the research, and we give you that synthesis, that shortcut you need to get really deeply informed. Today, we're focusing entirely on, well, sustainable movement. We're doing a deep dive into a very specific, low-impact exercise method. It's designed not just to help you avoid injury, but actually to build, serious, long-lasting endurance.
Yeah, it's not about running faster. It's about running smarter.
Exactly.
And this deep dive, it's really well timed for anyone, maybe like our listener, who's found it tough to stick with running before. We're unpacking slow jogging, a technique based on work by a well-known Japanese physical education specialist. The source material we have is great because it connects that personal need, wanting a steady indoor routine, maybe because you're getting older or the weather's unpredictable, with the actual science of metabolic efficiency.
Right, that context is really important. Our listeners specifically mention, more rain expected from the monsoon, La Niña effects, needing something practical for indoors. And they said they'd tried running before, but it always ended up hurting or they just quit.
Which is precisely why this method, often called Niko Niko Running, came about. It really promises efficiency without, let's say, the usual punishment. It's almost like learning a skill in itself, how to move your body optimally.
Okay, so that brings us to the name itself, Niko Niko. What exactly does that mean? The founder, Dr. Hiroaki Tanaka, apparently insists it means smile when you're talking about running, which honestly sounds kind of impossible, right? Smiling while exercising. How can you keep that up?
Well, it does sound a bit counterintuitive at first.
Yeah.
But it clicks when you get the science behind regulating your effort. That smile, the Niko Niko, it's literally the tool you use to measure your pace. Dr. Tanaka built this whole system around maintaining what he called the Niko Niko pace. And that pace is defined as the intensity level where you can genuinely smile and also sustain a full, proper conversation without getting breathless.
So we're not talking about just nodding or single words.
No. Full sentences, uninterrupted chat. If you can't do that, you're going too hard.
And I noticed the source material was quick to point out this isn't just walking, though. The author had tried brisk walking, found it didn't quite get the heart rate up enough.
Exactly. It's definitely jogging, maybe a very slow jog, but it's more intense than a walk.
Cool.
But the key is you're still totally in control of your breathing.
Okay, so that's the appeal for, let's say, the learner in us. Maximum aerobic effect using the best fuel source with minimum strain. You just check. Can I still smile? Can I still talk?
Precisely. If the smile feels forced or the chat gets choppy, you just ease back a bit. It's self-regulating.
Right. So the philosophy is clear, efficiency through comfort. But, it's still running. There's impact involved. And the listener mentioned knee pain, hip pain stopping them before. So if the philosophy is the smile, how do you actually do it without the usual impact? The source talks about a technical triple threat needed for this effortless pace. It's not just about going slow, is it?
No, not at all. It's a whole different way of moving, really. A biomechanical shift away from those common strides that often lead to injury. If you want the Niko Niko pace, the technique is, well, you said it's non-negotiable.
Okay, what is it then?
It's what turns that potentially high-impact stress into this low-impact bounce. The first principle is the cadence. And this is often the most surprising part for people. You need to run at a really high cadence. We're talking 180 steps per minute.
Whoa, hang on. 180? That sounds incredibly fast, like sprinting almost, especially if the goal is to feel effortless and talk. How does that work?
Yeah, the author found that number jarring too, initially. But there's a critical reason for it. That high cadence is actually the secret to reducing the force when your foot hits the ground. Think about it. 180 steps a minute is roughly 3 short, quick steps every second. When you take that many steps, they naturally have to be shorter, right?
Okay, yeah. Shorter steps.
And shorter steps mean your feet spend less time actually touching the ground with each step. Less contact time equals less vertical force shooting up your leg into your knees and hips.
Ah, I see. So it's not about speed over the ground, it's about the speed of your feet turnover.
Exactly. The frequency of the steps protects you by minimizing how hard you land each time.
Okay, so swapping those long, heavy heel strikes for quick, almost silent steps, that handles the force. What about the style of the step itself?
That ties right into the second principle, the step style.
Yeah.
It needs to be short, quick steps, creating a sort of gentle bounce. You're not really pushing off hard. It's more like you're lifting your feet quickly, almost hovering forward.
Gliding, maybe. Like if you were on a treadmill, you wouldn't be reaching way out in front.
Precisely. Efficiency in moving forward, not stretching out. which leads perfectly to the third, and maybe the most crucial technical bit, the foot strike.
Right, how your foot actually lands.
Yes, the third principle is foot strike. You absolutely have to move away from landing on your heel. That traditional heel strike, it's like hitting the brakes with every step. It wastes energy and sends shock right up your leg. This technique demands landing softly on your midfoot or forefoot, that fleshier part that's behind your toes.
And why is that better?
Because when you land there, your calf muscles and the arch of your foot act like natural springs, like shock absorbers. The high cadence, the 180 steps, actually encourages this type of landing naturally.
So they all work together. High cadence forces short steps.
And short steps make it easier to land lightly on the midfoot.
Exactly. They're synergistic.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
You master this triple threat, 180 cadence, gentle bounce, midfoot strike, and you're basically setting up your body to work in its most efficient state.
But the question is, if it feels easy, like you can smile and talk, is it actually doing much good? Where does the science place this effort level?
Well, it places it right in the sweet spot for aerobic fitness. It puts you squarely into zone 2.
In 2. Okay, I've heard of heart rate zones. What makes zone 2 special here?
Zone 2 is basically the definition of metabolic efficiency. The source defines it as light to moderate exercise, where your heart rate stays between about 60% and 70% of your estimated maximum. It's often called the base building zone for endurance athletes.
And why is that zone so good for building sustainable endurance, especially for someone who wants fitness without getting burned out?
It really boils down to what fuel your body is using. When you exercise at higher intensities, zones 3, 4, 5, your body mostly burns carbohydrates, glycogen stores.
Which run out, right? That's hitting the wall.
Exactly. Glycogen is limited. That's why you get winded, feel that intense fatigue. But zone 2, that's different. In zone 2, your body shifts gears and primarily uses fat as its main fuel source. We call that fat oxidation.
And we have a lot more fat reserves than glycogen reserves.
Virtually limitless for practical purposes. So staying in zone 2 means you can keep going for much, much longer, because you're tapping into this huge sustainable energy tank. You're not constantly draining those finite emergency carb reserves.
That is the aha moment, isn't it? It's not about pushing harder. It's about optimizing your body's engine to run on the fuel it has the most of. That's how you build endurance without that awful physiological stress that makes people quit.
Precisely. Maximizing fat oxidation makes the running sustainable not just for one session, but week after week, month after month. It's consistent, manageable effort that conditions your metabolism over the long haul.
And connecting back, this totally answers the listener's need, right? An exercise for indoors during rainy seasons that won't lead to injury or exhaustion. It changes running from this, painful sprint towards burnout into a steady, efficient baseline activity.
It does raise that important question, though. Since it's about consistency and training your body to use fat, how long do these slow jogging sessions need to be? The pace is low. Are we talking hours?
No, and that leads perfectly into the practical side that the source material covers. For someone starting out, especially someone with that history of stopping and starting, the advice is deliberately cautious.
Sensible.
Yeah, start small, like 10 to 15 minutes daily. The focus initially is just on forming the habit, building that consistency, getting used to the movement.
Right. Prioritize consistency over duration at first. Build tolerance.
But there is a goal duration based on that zone 2 science, isn't there?
Yes. To really get the most out of that fat oxidation we talked about, the aim should eventually be for sessions lasting at least 30 minutes. That seems to be the threshold where your body is definitely in that efficient fat-burning mode.
Okay, 30 minutes. But you don't just jump from 0 to 30, especially with a history of pain.
Absolutely not. And the author's plan in the source was really smart about this. They laid out a gradual increase, planning to master, say, 5 minutes first, then get comfortable with 10 minutes, then 15, working up to that 30-minute goal slowly.
That incremental approach feels really key. It respects past failures by building in safety nets against doing too much, too soon, makes the habit feel achievable. The focus isn't mileage, it's time spent moving correctly in zone 2. So what are the main rules someone needs to keep in mind, those self-regulating things, as they start extending the time, especially if they're worried about old injuries flaring up?
Okay, the self-regulating rules are crucial and pretty simple. Number 1, start slow, always. Number 2, constantly observe how your body feels. Check in, can I still smile? Is my breathing easy? Can I talk?
And if you can't,
If the smile goes or the conversation gets hard, you've drifted out of zone 2. You're likely pushing into zone 3, burning more carbs. So you just ease back the pace slightly until it feels comfortable again.
okay. And the big one,
The absolute non-negotiable safety rule, especially given the goal of sustainability. Stop immediately if you feel actual pain, not just effort, but pain.
That's different from the usual push-through-it mentality in running.
Completely different.
Mm.
Pain means something is wrong. Maybe your form slipped, maybe you defaulted to an old, harmful movement pattern. The whole point of Niko Niko is to avoid that.
Yeah.
So pain means stop, regroup, check your form, maybe call it a day and try again tomorrow. Don't push through joint pain.
Right. Okay, so let's bring this all together for you, the listener. We started with a very specific need. Sustainable, injury-free indoor endurance building, considering, life factors like aging or weather. And the core takeaway here is that Niko Niko running, or slow jogging, it's this really potent, low-impact technique. But it's not just random slow movement, it's specific movement. Maintaining that conversational pace puts you in zone 2. And that's driven by a very clear technical framework. 180 steps per minute, that gentle bounce, the midfoot strike, it's all engineered for efficiency and minimum stress.
Yeah, it's essentially a shortcut to aerobic fitness because it bypasses willpower to some extent. It's about engineering your movement and metabolism. You're training your body literally to use its best, most abundant fuel source. That makes it a habit you can actually stick with.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's that final thought for you to chew on. We've seen how critical that consistent 180 steps per minute cadence is for making running efficient and safe. If that simple, trackable number cadence can totally change how we approach a high-impact activity like running, well, how might tracking and maybe regulating cadence transform other low-impact activities you already do? Think about cycling or rowing or even just marching in place.
Could focusing on rhythm and consistency unlock more sustainable effort there too? It's an interesting thought, isn't it? The power of cadence, definitely something worth, well, smiling about.
Indeed it is. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.